The year 2025 was an absolutely phenomenal year for BMW. We've been growing at 13 to 14% ever since COVID, and yet again we grew at 14%. And when you compare with the rest of the market, which is just growing about 5 to 6% average growth rate, this is more than double the average growth rate. So 18,001 was the number for us last year, which is the best ever number. And in quarter four, we did about 6,000. One third of our volumes actually came from quarter four, which was festival season, post GST, and the growth rate actually moved up. We were about growing at 13% till about before September, and we ended up at 14%, and the 17% was the growth rate in the last quarter. So overall, a very, very satisfying year for us at BMW. So luxury is about 1%. Actually, before GST, luxury was growing at about 10%, whereas overall market was growing at just about less than 2%. It's only after GST that suddenly the mass market started growing much faster, because the price elasticity in the mass market is much more than that of luxury. So in luxury, the price elasticity is relatively lower. So even 5 to 6 lakh rupees price cut plus minus, it is not really impacting the customer. But overall, when you see the mass market has really gone up. Otherwise, we were taking lead versus the mass market, and hence, it got derailed a bit. Otherwise, we were growing. So if you see during COVID times, it was at 0.7%. And last year it went up to 1.1%. We were expecting it to reach 1.2%, but I think because in last 4 months mass market really went up, it'll remain at 1%. But there are a lot of fresh customers coming in, and I think BMW is playing the role of expanding the market. With iX1, we see almost 50% of the customers actually coming from the mass market to luxury. And I think if there's more participation in the entry level, I think people will see a lot of further growth in that. So while we are growing very well at the top in terms of 7 Series and X5s and X7s, but we are also making sure that we are also taking responsibility of growing the overall segment. And I would expect more players coming in will further take it to next level. So our expectation is that I think government has done a great job in terms of managing the income tax slabs last year. The drop in GST has been great. So I think government has done a fantastic job in terms of managing the overall economy and making sure that we don't drop below this 7% mark, which is very crucial for the country. I don't think we have more expectation from them. The only, I think, request would be not to touch the GST slab of EVs, because it keeps coming back that, the GST on EVs will be increased. I think that will be very detrimental, because EV is still about 4%, right? If you look at all the developed countries, it is in excess of 10%. We are probably one of the lowest. China is at 40%. So till we reach a certain inflection point where people are starting adopting EVs, it'll be very, very detrimental. Also, the cost of manufacturing for EVs is still about 40 to 50% more, and that is being compensated through GST of 35% gap between ICE and EV. So till the time the battery cost comes down, I think it'll be very detrimental for the industry, and hence the request is to keep GST for EVs at the same level of 5%. The year 2025 was an absolutely phenomenal year for BMW. We've been growing at 13 to 14% ever since COVID, and yet again we grew at 14%. And when you compare with the rest of the market, which is just growing about 5 to 6% average growth rate, this is more than double the average growth rate. So 18,001 was the number for us last year, which is the best ever number. And in quarter four, we did about 6,000. One third of our volumes actually came from quarter four, which was festival season, post GST, and the growth rate actually moved up. We were about growing at 13% till about before September, and we ended up at 14%, and the 17% was the growth rate in the last quarter. So overall, a very, very satisfying year for us at BMW. So the first thing is, we've been refreshing our products very often. Every year we launch more than 10 products. We are upgrading our network in terms of quality. We are expanding our network into the smaller towns. We are now at 40 cities with about close to 100 touch points, and we plan to add 10 more cities next year. And two big pillars of our strategy were electrification and the long wheelbase. And you've seen last year we moved from 8% penetration in electric vehicles to about 21%. most of our sedans are now coming with a long wheelbase. We started with long wheelbase in X1 last year in the iX1, and slowly and gradually we will take it to all the rest of the models as well. So these are a few of the points, and of course, whatever we do, we keep customer at the center of everything that we do. And very importantly, our cost of ownership is one of the lowest in the luxury market, which really gives peace of mind to the consumer. So I think Mini, we did not have too many fresh models like BMW, and that was the reason. And to show growth despite not having a new model, I think is phenomenal. We started our product offensive in Mini from December. We launched the Mini convertible, which was a runaway success. We sold out all the Mini convertibles in the first month itself. And this year, we'll be launching 10 new products slash special editions in Mini. And you will see this year that we are going to double our volumes in Mini in 2026. Yeah, so electric vehicles, yes. So we grew by more than 200%, and of course, it's very difficult to sustain this 200% growth year on year. But I think this year we would definitely be growing at a better pace than our normal ICE cars. So our penetration is about 21%. In Q4, it actually went up to 23%. So it is because of the better supplies. And next year we are launching 3 new electric vehicles. So I think we will have a penetration level of about 25%. So if we are growing at 10% or more in overall, I think it will be a very strong double-digit growth in case of electric vehicles. No, I think this has given us a fresh lease of life, I would say, because people are really loving the overall experience. We have multiple lounges instead of having the table chair concept. And we are, along with our dealers, we are investing 400 crores into this project, which is really big. And people are spending more time here, so which means there is a more stickiness when they spend more time, and it adds to the brand value that you are trying to build. So I think it is moving in the right direction.